Hey, this is Wilson. No Jason Wolf this week, as always. No Galvez either. But of course, I'm joined by my two prized and prestigious co-hosts, Jason Big Mick, Mitch Mitchell and Shane Murray. And we're actually going to have two episodes this week. The second one will have a special guest, so look out for that one later in the week. And But as far as today, we're going to get into, um, a few different things. LeBron's extension, the schedule release, Pau's jersey retirement, which is going to be next year, March 7th. And then maybe we'll say a few words at the end about episode 3 of the Lakers the Hulu documentary. I'm all caught up now. I've watched all 3 episodes. The third episode, it premiered this morning. But of course, as always, before we get into that, just a few reminders. If you're watching this on YouTube, hit that subscribe button next to the Complete Lakers podcast. If you prefer the audio version, remember to rate, review, and subscribe to the show on Apple Podcasts. The show is also on Anchor, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, and every other major podcatcher. Make sure to follow the show on Twitter and Instagram at TC Pod Network and to like it on Facebook. Just search for the Complete Lakers podcast. And finally, send feedback and mailback questions to Complete Lakers Podcast at gmail.com. Now, since we convened last week with Quan Chandler, I want to thank Quan again for coming on last week. Since then, it's kind of been eventful 7 days. The first thing that happened was I'm not sure what order this happened in, but the most important thing was LeBron signed his contract extension. He signed the 2-year, $97 million extension that we'd all been wondering if he was going to sign it. What was he going to do? Well, he did it. Mm-hmm. So, guys, it was kind of, I think some people, Shane, get it together, brother.
Come on, man.
Come on, brother. Everybody's watching.
Come on, man. Please, come on. Get a stand or something. What's wrong with you?
He said he refuses to get a stand. He said that has to come out the budget. I mean, come on, Shane. Just get a $10 stand off of freaking Walmart, bro. You don't even have to pay for the shipping. Just come on, bro. All right,
man. Go ahead about your business.
All right, there. Okay. Oh, before I forget, Shane Murray tonight with his Nick Van Exel background, and also Shane, please. I don't know if it's gonna mess up when you stand up, but can you let them see your Van Exel, the jersey you have on? Hello.
Rapping.
We can't. Can you see him, Mitch?
I can't see I can literally only see that it's a Lakers jersey. I can't even see the Lakers. I can't even see Lakers. I can't see nothing.
Come on, Shane, stand up.
Oh my God.
And he disappeared. Okay. All right. But yeah, Shane has on a Nick Van Exel jersey. Like, Shane, was Nick your first favorite player? Because he was my first favorite player.
My first and only idol.
Wow, your first and only idol, Nick Van Exel. Yeah, I was such a Nick Van Exel fan back in the day that when I first started playing basketball, I shot left-handed, and then over time, like my grandmother told me that left-handed people were weird. No disrespect, Shane. So I stopped shooting left-handed because I'm really naturally I did everything else with my right hand, like I right-handed. But when I first started off, man, I wanted to be Nick Van Exel so bad. I shot the ball left-handed. But anyway, all praise due to Nick Van Exel, man. He helped us through some lean years between Magic and Shaq and Kobe.
Should have got a ring.
Who should he have gotten a ring with?
Us. Trade him for Tyronn Lue.
He said 1, 2, 3 Cancun though. Then they had to get him up out of there.
But Tyronn Lue.
Don't disrespect Tyronn Lue. All right. So
yeah,
LeBron's extension.
I am. He's a Clipper coach. I can respect it.
Oh Lord. Anyway, before we get into LeBron's extension, I gotta address something real quick. This past Sunday, I went to see Shane Murray in the flesh, and
oh my God,
did not
for the podcast,
the outfit that this man
did not for the podcast.
He looked like one of those old school, just like Inglewood players, you know.
That is not for the podcast, sir.
He dressed like he was 50 years old. The only thing that was missing was one of those paperboy hats. This man had on a matching, like, plaid, like, jogging suit. I was like, what? How old are you? Shane, can you explain to the people what you were thinking when you picked out that outfit?
Fashion Nova, man.
Fashion Nova.
Enough said.
I got beef with Fashion Nova right now, actually.
Mitch, what should be for Fashion Nova?
I got beef with your hair.
Man.
What are they like?
Are you have beef with my hair because it looks so good and your hair never looked as good? Is that what you're saying? I mean, that's a legit beef.
First off, I had more hang time. My hair was way better.
Say, what's with the camera, bro? What are you doing? Why does your freaking phone keep falling down? What are you doing?
I have no idea. Anyway.
Either way, my beef with Fashion Nova. Here's what happened. I ordered a bunch of stuff for me and my son on Fashion Nova, right? I'm waiting for it to come. It never comes. And can you believe they did not want to give me a refund? Fools didn't even want to respond. I was like, oh, all right, bet.
I had a couple moments with them too, but you know.
Yeah, had to call the card, dispute those. So yeah, they didn't see that money. So yeah, me and Fashion Nova got beef right now.
So you never got the clothes?
To take it to the streets.
You never got the clothes, Mitch?
I never got them. They delivered it to the wrong address, and I got proof that they delivered it to the wrong address from the actual delivery people, and they still didn't want to hit me with the refund. So yeah, we got beef. We're not gonna keep with me and Fashion Nova right now. The way it's heading, this beef right here, it's not gonna stay on wax. We might have to take it to the streets. I might have to, write it like an email or something. But yeah,
well, I guess
take it to the street.
I guess Fashion Nova is like, are they like one of those companies that started off like it's just some like Instagram boutique or something like that? Because it seems like they should be more. Yeah, okay. I guess that's their problem. They feel like right now they get so much hype that they should be more. They should be more professional. But it sounds like I
can't really blame all that on them too, because the postal system in LA is trash.
He blames the postal system. Leave it to Shane Murray.
It is
right. Oh, okay, because Amazon, whenever I don't get something from Amazon, they're quick to hit me with a refund. So customer service goes a long way, Fashion Nova, just so you know.
Amazon, it's Amazon, Bezos. You know what I'm saying?
How do you think you get to be Amazon? How do you think you get to be Amazon? You provide good customer service. Oh, look, Shane Murray, say something so the camera can get on you because you slipped again, huh?
Shane, come on, bro. What do you have your camera set up, your phone set up against?
My laptop.
Man's using his laptop as like a camera. Like he just put it. Come on, Shane. The thing is gonna fall down at another 500. It's not gonna stop. It's kind of like the Marathon store when everybody was ordering from the Marathon store, and like they just wouldn't send us the stuff to anybody. I don't know, but
hey,
it happens.
Hey, we're not gonna do that to the dead,
Mitch.
No.
Mitch, this guy said that you came over to help him put up 2 pictures in his house.
Yeah, I'm a good friend, Anto.
But Shane, you can't, bro. I have framed pictures all over my room. Godfather, LeBron, Shaq, Kobe. Barkley. I put them all up myself. Why did you need help putting up 2 pictures in your house, Shane?
Because I was trying to use the strips, and they told me, well, his girlfriend suggested at the last minute that the strips would probably mess up the paint, and I didn't know how to use the strips, so I was having them do it with the strips instead of the nail. Kind of want to mess with the walls, but we ended up doing the nail thing anyway. So,
and Jason, before I forget, and for everybody out here who watches Lakers Nation, shout out to Lakers Nation and Matthew Peralta, who came on a couple weeks ago and gave us our biggest episode. Mitch, do you ever watch Lakers Nation?
Sometimes.
You know that kid,
Sometimes.
Sean Spaces Davis, Mitch?
Yeah.
How old do you think that kid is, Mitch?
He's at least 15, right?
Right. Now, say Shane. Now, Shane, how old do you say Sean Spaces Davis is?
dog, believe it what you want to believe. They said it 4 or 5 times already because he just had a birthday. He's 45 years old.
Hey,
good genes or good docs? Good
Shane,
genes or good docs?
it's a joke, bro. I don't even have to see them say that to me. It's a gag. It's a running gag, bro.
Hey, Frankie, what's his name? The dude from Joanna Man who played Joanna Man. He said he's 67. See how I look.
But Shane, this kid, I looked him up. I looked at his LinkedIn. He's in college at the University of Cincinnati. He has his Cincinnati shirt on in the like when he's on the show. So I mean, anyway.
You act like you never seen an old college student before.
So he's still contending he's 45 years old. All right, then, Shane. Anyway, let's move on.
People that still go back to college at 45 and 50 years old, bro.
Yeah, all right then, buddy. Okay. All right. So LeBron's extension, 2 years, $97 million. I'll start with Shane. I mean, just basically now that it's happened, like, what are your thoughts on it now that it's official?
For me, it's bittersweet. I mean, good that it's gotten taken out of the way because I feel like teams are starting to use that as like leverage on Lakers to make a deal they shouldn't make or wasn't ready to make. And I feel like it would have been a distraction if the season started if he didn't sign it. But at the same time, like cap space goes from 60 million to 20 million. So whatever deal they decide to make, we might as well just make a deal that's gonna go through the cap and build your team for the next 2 years. But because otherwise, like, it's gonna be tough to get some key players off free agency with that amount of money.
Mitch?
So I was having a conversation with Sheila about this, and she went on a 21-minute rant about how this was so terrible. Like, if I brought her in here right now, she'd probably go on for about 40 minutes about how much she hates this, about how much we paid him and everything like that. So I have seen comments, and obviously I've heard from a person that we paid him too much. I'm of the mindset that this was more so a move for the future. This is exactly what we did with Kobe. And I know the difference. I get it. Kobe was homegrown and everything like that. But this was a move that the Lakers that the Lakers made to show stars around the league, hey, you come here, you produce, we'll take care of you. So I don't know if the extension was really for LeBron. I mean, it was for LeBron for the way that he performed. He did win a championship. He played decent last season.
So, it averaged 30 last year.
For LeBron, don't get me started on his 30 that he averaged.
Yeah.
Maybe lose my train of thought, man. Jesus Christmas. Yeah, so as much as it was for LeBron and his performance, I think it was more so to show stars around the league, like, hey, if you come here, we'll take care of you money wise for sure. And then the moves that they're allowing LeBron to make, having so much input, that's also showing stars around the league, like, hey, we'll give you input, we'll pay you out big. So I like the move to give LeBron that much, just because I think it signals to other stars around the league that, hey, you come here, you'll be taken care of, and we'll try to get the job done for you. So I like it. I mean, it's a chess move, man. It's chess, not checkers. So we had to do it. We had to do it for that next big star that wants to make the move to LA.
Plus, optics wise, it would have been such a bad look if we didn't take care of LeBron. Because think of how many people are influenced by him in the league. They're gonna look at that and be like, "Oh, they did LeBron like that? We ain't going there." So
and that was kind of how some of the I remember when Frank Vogel got fired, and there was maybe some trepidation from people that the Lakers were looking at to possibly replace him. There was some rumors that maybe guys were going, well, if they did Frank Vogel like that, how can we? I think Doc Rivers was one of the guys who maybe was a part of was feeling like that, and people didn't like how they did Frank Vogel, and so I think that's kind of similar to what Shane is saying about LeBron. My take on it is, Fred Rogan says all the time. He likes to say, I've said it before, the Lakers are in the LeBron James business, and so basically they've decided that as long as LeBron still plays basketball, they want him on the Lakers for what he brings, I think, to the brand. I don't think it's so much like a basketball decision. I think it's more of a brand decision, and ultimately I agree with it. I said, like I said, we might talk a little bit about the Lakers doc again at the end, but the way that the way that the Lakers, I was just thinking about the fact that LeBron's about 1,400 points shy of the scoring record. If he stays healthy, he'll probably break it next year. If not, for sure now we'll know that he'll break it the year after that. So he's going to break the all-time scoring record as a Laker. And when you talk about the Lakers and their legacy and their history, it's only going to basically add to the brand that this guy that I have him fourth all time. Most people consider him top two all time. I know you guys don't. You're just one of the most famous and most iconic and greatest basketball players of all time. The fact when he breaks, you got him 5, Mitch. Yeah. Okay. Well,
I got him 5.
Yeah, I have him 4. Most people have him second or first. But I think
not me.
Yeah, Shane would have. Shane.
Listen, we don't need to get into your top 10.
Yeah, we don't need to go through that again. But I think when he breaks the record, for him to do that in the Lakers jersey, I mean, just the same way that we look back at Kareem when he hit that sky hook to break the record, to break Wilt when Wilt had the record back, and I think it was '83 with the Lakers. It's just something that adds to the brand and adds to the legacy. And I think it would be great if LeBron played the last game of his career as a Laker. And if it means us, drafting Bronny, or working out some type of, if they have to do something under the table to make sure that we end up with Bronny so LeBron can retire as a Laker, then so be it at this point, because, who knows what it's going to be like, after LeBron. It's like I'm pretty much just, at this point, I'm just resigned to what it is. So, it is what it is, man. LeBron is going to be here for next year and the year after that for sure. And it's a 1+1, so he'll have the option to either return or become a free agent again in 2025, right? So, yeah.
Also, same thing for AD too.
AD too?
Yeah, both him and Bron are lined to 2025.
So will AD
kick rock? All I care.
So will he have a player option, or will he just be
They both have players options. They both have player options.
All right.
I hope AD makes the option to take his talents to Chicago.
Yeah, AD, we've had enough. All right.
Maybe I'll change my mind after he starts scoring some buckets this season. But
I mean, this is a judgment year for him. So see what he do.
I mean, after 2 years like that, I'm just gonna say I'm not gonna hold my breath that he'll ever return to form.
Well, we know how pessimistic you are.
Well, what do you? I mean, Shane, I'm just being realistic, bro. All right. So the schedule was released this week. Also, I mean, they've been floating. They've been leaking the season opening matchups and Christmas Day and stuff like that. But finally the full schedule was released. I really don't think. I don't know. It's kind of weird that people make any type of deal about it because the schedule is the same every year. It's like football, like the NFL, where they mixed it up. I mean, if the teams in your conference, you play the most number of times. It used to be when I was a kid, you played every team in your conference 4 times, the team in the other conference twice. Now, if you've added a couple teams or whatever, it might be a little different, but basically it's the same every year. I mean, no matter what. So I didn't pay too much attention to that. I know Shane pays attention to everything. Shane, what were your thoughts on the schedule release? I know you were saying off camera that talking about the Warriors, but we always have to play the Warriors. But what were your thoughts, Shane, on the schedule release?
I hate the schedule. Schedule's brutal. Like, especially that first month and Grammy trip. Those are like, yikes. Cause that first month, then we got at least 6 to 10 teams who made the playoffs last year. Then it started off with Golden State on ring night, bruh.
So looking at the schedule, 5 out of the 6 teams made the playoffs. Portland didn't make the playoffs. Wait, the Clippers didn't make the playoffs. So I guess 4 out of 6 actually.
No.
But the Clippers made the play-in, so
yeah. Well, who are the first 6?
I think
what do we consider? What do we consider playoffs? Like, are we saying the top 8, or are we considering the play-in of a playoff team as well?
I think this 7, 8 got to play in the play-in. So
either way, all right.
So I think this is top 6 are guaranteed playoffs.
Yeah, but I mean, at the end of the day, 8 teams are in the playoffs. Is what I'm saying. But either way it goes, first 6 games in October at Golden State, home against the Clippers, home against the Blazers, at Denver, at Minnesota, home against Denver. And then that's October. So we get to play Denver twice in October. Start the season.
I remember Galvez asked me last year at a certain point. I think he asked me like, what is going to be it was like head into Christmas, I think. And he was asking me, what is going to be the Lakers record coming into Christmas? And we talked and we laughed, and I was like, what's about to happen here? But you look at the schedule last year, and it was like, okay, where are the clear wins for us? But looking at those first 6 games, and I forgot what Mitch even said. He said we have Denver twice, we have the Clippers, we have Golden State. And who are the other 2 teams?
The Blazers and the T-Wolves.
Okay, and the T-Wolves got Rudy Gobert without it really giving anything out, and they were a playoff team last year anyway. So looking at the first 6 games out of the gate, based on those 6 teams, with Kawhi and PG being back, the Warriors are going to be, I think, even better next year. But they might, a lot of times you can catch a team on ring night because they're like the emotions are so high, so that can actually work in the Lakers' favor. So Warriors, Clippers, Blazers, T-Wolves. Blazers will be. Is that the Blazers game? Is that in Portland? I'm sorry if you said it.
We're home against Portland.
Home against Portland.
I feel like the only clear-cut win that we like, hey, we should win this game like for sure is Portland.
Yeah. And those other ones are, especially with a new head coach. And I remember when Phil Jackson got here and he was installing the triangle offense, and everybody said, man, we'll be happy if we're 500 by the All-Star break. And of course, they went 67-15, and I think they started 12-4. I mean, I doubt that's going to happen, man. With this team, I know the one thing they have going for it is that I think that these
that's
guys.
That's what I was saying. Like when Matthew Peralta was here, I was saying like I was surprised they didn't he didn't get no players from us who ran that system, because even with the triangle offense, first year you had Ron Harper, Horace Grant, like you had a few guys who's already like ran the system,
John Sally,
who can teach the other guys. Yes, this time unless they do something with the last roster spot to get somebody, or after the move, whatever trade they do, we didn't really bring in nobody who knew the system. So, I mean, it might not be a big deal, it might be a big deal. I don't know. Just have to see. But that's what I was talking about when Matthew Peralta was here.
Yeah. So I would say, starting off, I say we shock everybody by beating Golden State on ring night. And then I say we beat Portland, but the rest are losses. So I say we start 2-4. What do you guys say?
Oof.
I
could definitely see us beating Golden State. I would love to see us beat the Clippers. Funny enough, I bet we lose to Portland. That'd be funny. Lose to Portland, lose to Denver, then beat the Wolves in Denver. 4-2? I'll take 4-2.
Oh, really? Is Michael Porter Jr. going to be back to start the season? And Jamal Murray? I know Jamal Murray better be back.
He playing now, but I doubt it.
Who?
I'm gonna say 500. I'm gonna say 500, 3-3.
But Shane, you said that you push.
I'm the optimist now. Get it?
Yeah. Shane, you said that Jamal. You say Michael Porter Jr. is playing right now?
I said Jamal Murray's playing right now. Like he was playing pickup. Seen playing pickup like about a couple weeks ago or so.
Well, he'll be back, but I'm wondering about Porter Jr. But they were good before Porter Jr. Porter Jr. just made them.
No word from him.
Yeah. Porter Jr. just kind of makes them. If they ever get all three of those guys out there together, like really clicking, that could be a championship team. And now for the other news, to me, this was
question for both of you. Question for both of you guys though. Let's say if they do the Indiana deal, does y'all stands change at all?
Yeah. I mean, it'll be even harder to work out the kinks, but based on that alone, I'd probably just give them at least one more win. It's just a better.
Yeah, you're really pessimistic.
What you want me to say, Shane?
Oh man, that's funny. I got a question too, actually, because we brought up new coach and everything like that. I don't think I heard how you felt about us letting Frankie V go, Anto.
I thought. I think I said it. Back when Galvez was still recording with me, I explained it, but I think that it wasn't really the only thing I can blame Frank Vogel for is the fact that why get Russell Westbrook and then decide that you're going to have him try to play like some off-ball 3-point shooter or something like that. That just didn't make any sense. I know he didn't want him in the first place, but once you have him, you have to give him a chance to succeed, to give the team a chance to succeed. I think that Westbrook. What was I going to say? Oh my god, my god, my god. I think. Oh yeah, but when the Lakers traded for Westbrook, my thoughts were that the whole point of that was to play LeBron off the ball as he's getting
Never gonna
older.
happen.
Yeah, you might be right, Shane, and let Westbrook come
Never gonna
in
happen.
and take the reins so that LeBron can be fresher and it's kind of weird because anyway, as it happened, LeBron last year was probably one of his most. I mean, he still has his assist numbers, but that was probably one. If you just watched him play, that was probably one of the seasons where he had like the most pure scoring type season as far as just how it looked watching him play. Because usually LeBron's somebody who's like 50-50 scoring and passing, but last year he was almost like and I thought that was the idea was to kind of I wanted the Lakers if they could use LeBron like a DH kind of where he's just I mean you don't have to average 38 and 8 LeBron like when Jordan went to the later stages of his career with Chicago when he was in his prime he was 5-6 assists per game but in those last three peak years he pretty much, sacrificed that part of his game, and he was a passer, really only out of double teams, and he kind of streamlined his game, focused more on scoring, and they won 3 more championships, and that's kind of what I want to see LeBron. I want to see LeBron do later in his career. You have to change your game at some point, man. Like you can't. He's in year 20.
He's a
He'll be
control
30.
freak.
Yeah, I know he likes it like that. He wants to be the guy who does everything, But at some point, you have to change your game and sacrifice parts of your game and streamline your game. And I thought that Westbrook was going to make it easier for him to do that, but as it turned out, Vogel kind of used Westbrook like as this off, and it just didn't make any sense. But other than that, I don't really blame Vogel for what happened because at the end of the day, guys have to have enough pride to compete. Guys have to stay on the court. And Rob Pelinka allowed LeBron James to ruin what I think was a team that they should have run it back with. They won it all in 2020, which was like they had these 2 big time superstars and a bunch of role players, and everything fit. And they got lucky. Everything kind of broke their way in the bubble. And then they came back the next year. I think they really hit the sweet spot as far as the roster went. But the injuries happened. I really thought they should have tried to run it back with that team, and they didn't. That team still defended. That team still competed when LeBron and AD were out. They still won 42 games with the big 2 missing, both missing half the season. I thought they should have run it back, and instead they blew it up again for Russell Westbrook, and predictably, it didn't work. So I mean, like I said, Frank Vogel gets some of the blame, but it was kind of like, I mean, what was really gonna, I mean, they stopped playing defense. That was as big a problem as anything. So I don't think that was actually on Frank Vogel. That was just the roster changed so much from what it was. So yeah, I don't put too much of the blame on Frank Vogel for what happened last year. I'm sorry to disappoint you, Mitch, but I really don't think it was. I really don't think it was.
I'm a known Frank Vogel hater, so
yeah. Shane, all right. Shane Murray
I can't get it together.
Exited stage left.
The building, huh?
I bet you when he comes back, he'll be like his camera will be sideways again, like Matthew Peralta on.
Oh gosh.
Shane?
Yeah, he can't get it together, man. He just can't get right, huh? Just can't get right.
I'm that tonight. I'll admit that.
Christmas, man. Man.
So let's get into like I said, at the top I said LeBron's extension was the most important news, but I mean, yeah, I mean it is, but the news that makes me the happiest really is the news that Pau Gasol, as I said at the top, We're having his jersey retired next year, March 7th, 2023, when the Lakers host the Grizzlies at the Staples Center, not the Crypt, but Staples Center. Let's not forget that.
That's right.
And
Right.
Pau Gasol is simply one of my all-time favorite Lakers. This is going to be interesting because Lakers fans, I feel like Pau Gasol is probably the most underappreciated Laker probably ever as far as great players go. So it'll be interesting to hear you guys' take because a lot of Lakers fans do. Even going back to those days when you guys remember, a lot of Lakers fans, for all that he brought to us, all they could talk about was how he was soft and he wouldn't, dunk the ball at the rim. And why don't you finish at the dunk the ball when you catch at the basket and stuff like that? And not the fact that the guy comes. I mentioned earlier the triangle offense, how hard it is to learn that offense. The guy comes from Memphis to the Lakers. He picks it up on the fly, showing how high his basketball IQ is, and just what he brought. His consistency, the way his versatility, the fact that and you have to give credit to Lamar Odom also for this, and just Mitch Kupchak for being able to build a team with these type of like multi-dimensional big men, where you had a situation where you'd have if the Lakers wanted to play defense or go big, they go with Bynum and Gasol. That was the normal starting lineup when they were healthy, and then Lamar could come in and basically Bynum and Gasol, that was the big lineup in the defensive lineup, and Odom and Gasol, that was the smaller lineup and the offensive lineup. But either way, they were deadly, and they were probably actually. You could argue that they were more deadly with Gasol at the 5, but the fact that he could play both positions, and Bynum being hurt a lot of times he would have to play the 5, even though physically it's kind of like an Anthony Davis thing where he's not really, his body type is he has more the wiry frame, and he's not really built for it. But he didn't whine and complain about it. I don't think, as I recall, as much as Anthony Davis did, and he just was, if you consistently, you could expect 18 points, 10, 11 rebounds, 3 or 4 assists, a couple of blocks. Now, were there some times in the playoffs where he would go missing in action? Yeah, but for the most part, just a great player, fabulously skilled, remarkably intelligent, a great passer, played just a natural pairing with Kobe. And I love those teams so much. And Pau Gasol, if it weren't for him, those last 3 finals of Kobe's career and those last 2 championships wouldn't have happened. Mitch, I'll start with you on this one. What are your memories of Pau Gasol in a Lakers uniform? And how do you feel about, if we look ahead to next year, him getting his jersey retired in March of next year?
Well deserved. I don't think you can say it enough. It's well deserved, like you said, man. Those last 2 championships for Kobe do not happen without Pau Gasol. Shout out to Mitch Kupchak for the heist of the century for sure. Trading Kwame Brown for Pau Gasol, like the happiest day of my entire life. I mean, wow. And like I said, he came in. The chemistry was instant with Kobe, and they got along basketball wise. They got along off the court, and those teams were just fun. I mean, the whole gang, the Machine, Sasha Vujacic, Jordan Farmar, Shannon Brown, Lo, Andrew Bynum. I mean that Trevor Ariza, and then getting replaced with with the great Ron Artest. I mean those teams chemistry wise were just on point. It was amazing, and Powell was a huge part of that. He was just a huge part of it. I mean, yeah, he had his soft moments. I mean, famously in 2008 against the Celtics, he was soft. There's no real way around that. But I mean, the heart of this guy to come right back the next season, he erased all that. He erased the soft label for me in my mind. The next season, and then obviously we went in '09, and then he exercised his demons in 2010, beating the Celtics. And like I said, he erased that soft label for me. For Pau Gasol, especially at the time, I just remember thinking I always thought he was the second greatest international player behind Dirk. I mean, the man was so skilled. He could shoot. He could post you up. He could back you down. He could turn over either shoulder. He could pop the mid range. He even started extending his range to the 3-point line a little bit, not too much. He didn't get too trigger happy like AD gets right now, but he could pop it if necessary. So I mean, the man he was just so skilled. I mean, off the top of my head, I don't know if I can think of anybody better than Pau Gasol other than Dirk. I mean, the man, he's just very talented, heart of a champion. This was well deserved. I'm so glad that they're retiring his jersey. Wish Kobe could be here to see it. I saw a video on Instagram. He predicted that this would happen, and he was excited to see it happen. So, I wish he could be here to see it, but I mean, Kobe knew it. I think we all knew it. People who watch those teams, we all knew. Like, I think we all know. People who actually watch those teams, we knew the value of Pau Gasol. So, I mean, I can't say it enough, man. It's well deserved, and I mean, you love to see it, man. He's such a good guy. Like, you just want, he's just such a good guy, man. Kind heart, and yeah, man, well deserved, man. Well deserved, man. Shout out to Pau.
Okay.
Yeah, man. There's one of the few times where he just Pau is one just as great as a player as he is as a person. My favorite all-time Pau Gasol play is when he leads the break by himself, one man fast break, and threw it between his legs. Was it a Kobe and threw it to Trevor? I think something like that. Mm-hmm. But yeah, a 7-footer who can shoot, pass, rebound. Yeah, he all you needed for him was to be more aggressive at times. But other than that, he really didn't have a flaw in his game to be 7 foot. You know what I mean? And just what he meant for Kobe and the Bryant family on and off the court, naming his daughter after Gianna, being there for his kids as uncle. You know what I mean? Turned into the Black Swan when we needed him to. And it's fitting he gets retired right next to Kobe. And it's going to be interesting to see how Memphis' fans treat him, or how the Memphis organization treat him on that night. I read an article today recently, that Memphis did not necessarily high on Pau, whatever the reason. But it's fitting that both the franchises he's a part of get to see him off, and also his intelligence. Like a lot of people don't know that he had enough credentials to be a doctor, and in the off season or in spare time, he would do work at Children's Hospital with kids and help nurse kids at Children's Hospital. So he's just all around good person, and then both him and Kobe speak Spanish. Like the connection was instant, like Mitch said. So there's just so many things you can say about Pau, and he was one of the most disrespected Lakers, and still is one of the most disrespected Lakers. But we don't get that those championships without Pau, not at all.
Yeah, man, and I'm sitting here thinking about it now, man. And it's always a special night when the Lakers retire somebody's jersey, because there's simply no other franchise that has the kind of history that the Lakers have. And all the other guys, all the old timers will show up. So, Fish will be there, and Lamar will be there, and hopefully Sasha and Shannon Brown and all the guys, and the guys who came before that. Phil will be there. B. Shaw, all the guys on the Kurt Ramos, all the guys from the coaching staff, and then the guys who came before, Magic and Kareem. Those guys will be there too, I'm sure. So, um, much respect to Power, man. I love that guy. I still remember the first game that he played with the Lakers. It was in New Jersey, and it's like you go, wow, man. It was like it was immediate. You realize, oh my, this is serious. Especially when you realize, because at the time we thought that Bynum would be back before the season was over. So we're thinking, oh my goodness, we're about to have this squad with Bynum when he comes back. And then of course Bynum ended up not coming back, but he came back in the next 2 years, and he was healthy enough we were able to win it 2 years in a row. So once again, man, all love to Pau Gasol, man. If you're a Lakers fan who really knows the game of basketball, then you have nothing but love for Pau Gasol. And then just lastly at the end here, episode 3 of the Lakers Hulu documentary, it premiered this morning. So I was going to watch it like first thing, like right after midnight, but my Fire Stick was acting funny. So I watched it this morning, and I don't really have too much to add. Like I said last week, I'm all caught up now, so I've watched all 3 episodes. But like what I said last week about the first, I watched last week when we talked when we recorded, I'd watched like the first 5 minutes, and basically it's held up. Basically, like I was very encouraged for what I saw, and it's held up since then. I like that it's very cinematic. It's dramatic, more so than I was expecting. Like I said, I like that they got Antoine Fuqua to direct it, because he brings a big Hollywood director and Hollywood feel to it, and it's fitting of Hollywood's team. But one thing I was going to say, the most interesting part I think was in episode 2, I think, or I forgot which one, but there's a part in it where because the Lakers were they were able to draft Magic Johnson based on a coin flip. And I think that it was between the Lakers and the Jazz, but I'm sure. Don't quote me on that. The second team was. I think it was the Jazz, though. And the Lakers won the coin flip. And of course, they draft Magic. And the second pick ended up being David Greenwood. And there's a part in the documentary where, did you guys see this, where Jeannie goes, if we hadn't won that coin flip, we would have drafted David Greenwood, and I wouldn't be sitting here tonight. And I said on Twitter, I don't know if you guys saw it, but I was trying to figure out, because they wouldn't have drafted Greenwood, they would have drafted Sidney Moncrief, because that was who Jerry West actually wanted in the first place. And Sidney Moncrief now was one of the best, defensive players of the '80s, a two-way player. He's actually in the Hall of Fame now. And I made a poll where I said, if the Lakers draft Moncrief, do they win any of those titles in the '80s? And basically, it would have come down to 80 and 82, because by the time it got to 85, it was just a little too, it was a little too real. But 80 and 82, when they beat the Sixers, I don't think those were really great Sixers teams. But regardless, even if they're able to win one or both, it's still not Showtime, and it's still not. She's probably right. She's probably still not sitting there. There probably is no Lakers documentary. There is no Winning Time on HBO. It really came down to a coin flip, because they needed. I really feel like they could have had as many Sydney, because they already had. Kareem was the best player in the league, but he was getting older, and they had Jamal Wilkes, who's in the Hall of Fame now, who has his jersey in the rafters. They had Norm Nixon, who was a very good point guard, an all-star point guard, but they could have had as many of those type of supporting players as they could, or as they wanted. They needed a Magic Johnson, and they got him thanks to a coin flip. And the rest is history, as they say. So, but Shane, do you have any thoughts on? I know Mitch hasn't seen episode 3, I don't think. But Shane, do you have any thoughts on episode 3 of the Lakers documentary, which focused kind of on? It was very heavy, I think, at the beginning on Dr. Buss and his his beginnings, kind of difficult, kind of painful, and then at the end, like you were saying off camera, it got into I mean, it basically concludes with the 1989 season when we got swept by Detroit, when we had all those injuries to beat Scott and Magic, and then that was when before the finals, the Lakers had swept through the West. The first they were going 11-0 through the West, and Pat Riley takes them. I think it was to Santa Barbara, and had or Palm Springs. I forget which one. I think it was Santa Barbara, and he has them working like dogs out there. And it kind he overworked them in Magic and Byron. Byron before the series, Magic in Game 1. They both have hamstring injuries, and the Pistons ended up sleeping the series. And I think the last words of episode 3 were Riley saying that was the beginning of the end for me. And after the next season, he would no longer be the head coach of the Lakers. But Shane, what are your thoughts on episode 3 of the Lakers Hulu documentary?
So my thoughts were like that. I thought some of the first part of part 3 seemed like it should have been in part 1, but I got how they broke it up. I was surprised to hear about them almost going bankrupt, and then this TV contract came in, which was fitting because now I think they have the biggest TV contract in the league now with Fox Sports Net. I was surprised to hear about Byron's mother. Like of all the interviews he's done about these teams, he never once mentioned that story. So to hear him come out like that, and him being from Inglewood, and like it was kind of like it was touching, especially from my personal experience with my mother. So it was touching. In terms of the Pat Riley thing, I got his explanation in terms of that because it is a long layup to have before a playoff series, but usually you want to do like light work, like maybe light jogging, maybe shoot around here and there, like just get the legs kicked full up, but not a hard practice like that, And he kind of had no remorse for it a little bit, other than he knew that was the beginning of the end for him. And then, but what was dope to see was like how the team would come together. And the chemistry they had in terms of like hanging out off the court, as far as having dinner parties, going to the movies, and that's you don't really get to see those things, especially in today's game. Like you might see 1 or 2 people. That's what made the 2020 team so special too, because they kind of hang out just like those teams, the Showtime Lakers, because like they would go to parties together and go to events together like a full squad, kind of like they did. So those are my thoughts about it.
Yeah, that's something that really stood out in Jeff Pearlman's book, The Winning Time book, which is the camaraderie and the family-like atmosphere that Pat and Chris Riley created. It was very important to them that the teams seemed like it was like a family. That was the culture that they created. And when I think of Pat Riley, first of all, before I forget, on a scale of 1 to 10, how much do you guys wish that we had been around and old enough to really enjoy and appreciate Showtime? Because I don't know what you guys' earliest memories are of basketball. I feel like I remember like being like 3 years old and watching the 91 finals on TV. I don't remember if it was when the Bulls clinched or whatever it was, but it seemed like I remember that. So that was more than 30 years ago now. But I just wish so much, man, that I could have been around. Like I could have been, my dad was born in 61, so he got to live through. He got to see Baylor, West, Chamberlain, Magic, Kareem. He got to see everybody, And I just wish that I had been around where I could have lived through Showtime, because I think anybody who lived through both eras will tell you that as great as the Shaq Kobe teams were and the Kobe Gasol teams, there was nothing like Showtime. So on a scale of 1 to 10, it's a 10 for me, how much I wish I had been around back then. How about you, Shane?
For me, honestly, it's only about a 4 at most because I've coming up playing basketball. Like I've seen so many clips of Showtime that I feel like that was enough for me. And like, my dad when he was running the basketball program at the Y, he used to train the kids or have the kids work out to the basketball drill video that Showtime Lakers made. So I go back then till to all these specials I've seen. I've seen damn near every special on Showtime. So it's like I got enough Showtime in me. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
Not to want to go back.
Yeah, it's not enough for me. But one more thing before I get to Mitch. Yeah, go ahead. No, go ahead. Go ahead, Mitch.
I don't know. I'm just wondering, like, how do you have, all that Showtime in you, and yet and still you don't respect Kareem enough to put him in your top 10 of all time? I don't understand.
I told you,
making
man.
no sense. The math ain't
other than
mathing.
Shaq, I don't put big man in my top 5 or top anything.
Like
Why
I
do you
said,
put
the
Shaq
math
in there?
ain't mathing.
Because Shaq was more
Because
than
he was
just
able to see
I'm a dunk on. Shaq was quick. Shaq had handles. He didn't get to use because of his size. Shaq was more to it than just gonna dunk on you. Shaq had post moves. Shaq had a little bit of everything.
Kareem didn't have no post move. Come on, man. What are you
No, other than that damn shot hook.
Don't be on here disrespecting Kareem like that, Shane. Come on now.
Bruh. No disrespect the cat, but bruh, no.
The most unstoppable shot in the history of basketball, and you don't that does nothing for you, huh? Nothing? Just nothing, huh?
This man Shane Murray.
Huh?
One of a kind.
You're a disrespectful human being. Like, what? The math ain't mathing for me. Oh, I've seen all the Showtime. Whoa. If you've seen all the Showtime, you will respect Kareem.
No, I wouldn't.
Oh my God.
Oh, God.
He's just leading scorer for no reason, huh?
I mean,
no skill, huh?
Yeah, big man. When you're already at the rim, you know what I'm saying? Figure it out.
Oh, Shane. All right, buddy. Listen to me. Mitch, do you have anything else you wanted to say about like these like how much you wish you were around and just the Showtime, the Lakers doc to this point?
It's hard to say. I mean, the Showtime era definitely seemed like a lot of fun. Especially those '80s years and everything like that. But I mean, I feel like I was born in the right era, man. The Shaq and Kobe era, leading it off, and then being able to see Kobe and Pau, and LeBron kind of picking up the torch now too. So don't look at me.
I don't know about picking up the torch, but all right.
LeBron has picked up the torch. I mean,
I don't know about picking up the torch.
But who else is holding the torch right now?
He more like he fumbling the torch, but
either way it goes, I'm gonna go with a 5. I'm gonna go with a 5. But yeah, at the end of the day, I think I was born in the right era. Glad I got to witness the era that.
How you get on me and only get to a 5?
I literally started off by saying I said I was born in the right era with Shaq and Kobe.
But you get on me.
I was saying that though.
Yeah, but you get on me.
I'm getting on you for not respecting Kareem enough. You don't.
I don't respect any big man other than Shaq.
Shane, most people say that the argument that you made for why Shaq is in your top 10 it's like the reverse of what most people would say about Shaq. Now I agree with you. Shaq, they used to say that all Shaq can do all Shaq did was dunk. So when he's so big and strong, it doesn't matter. But of course, Shaq had a lot of game. Shaq had, as far as big men go, he had the jump hook to either side. He had the drop step. Shaq had a lot going for him. His footwork was excellent. He never got enough credit for being
Underrated passer.
Yes, very underrated passer. He never got enough credit for the
Had a crossover.
All right, see, that's what I'm saying. And I understand what you're saying. That was something that he had in his game that he didn't really get to show, but he did like one or two crossovers, right? That we saw. And you're like, I mean, come on, say like, so you don't respect Olajuwon or Duncan or any of these people like that?
Olajuwon gets a little respect. Tim Duncan, hell no, nigga, no. Tim Duncan, no.
Oh my gosh.
No.
All right.
This man is ridiculous, dude.
Tim Lane Duncan, no. Sorry, no.
And just the last thing I was going to say is that as far as Pat Riley goes, man, it's weird. That's another thing that's weird because, the other guys, everybody else associated with Showtime, once it was over, they just kind of retired, and all the memories that we have of them are still, as Lakers. But with Riley, I mean, he was like 45 years old when the Lakers let him go. Then he went on to have success with the Knicks, and of course now it's been like 25 plus years since he's been in Miami, and they've won 3 championships since he's been in Miami. So he's had so much success since then that it's kind of almost. The Lakers stuff is in the past, and it's not all of his story. But I think he'd tell you. I know he said it in his in Perlman's book. He said it at Jerry Buss's funeral that the one thing that tied everybody together during Dr. Buss's ownership was that they are Lakers first and foremost and always. And with that, if nobody else has anything to say, I'm gonna.
We're about to get out of here, huh?
Yeah.
Oh snap, man! Yeah, Herbert wanted to say some stuff. He we just had those wedding pictures and everything, so he really wanted to say some stuff, man. But looks like we're out of time once again. So my deepest apologies to Herbert once again. We have run out of time. I'm sorry.
Apologies as always, Herbert. Now before we get out of here, just a few more reminders, the same ones I gave at the beginning of the episode. If you're watching this on YouTube, hit that subscribe button next to the Complete Lakers podcast. If you prefer the audio version, remember to rate, review, and subscribe to the show on Apple Podcasts. The show is also on Anchor, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, and every other major podcatcher. Make sure to follow the show on Twitter and Instagram at TC Pod Network, and to like it on Facebook. Just search for the Complete Lakers podcast. And finally, send feedback and mailbag questions to CompleteLakersPodcast@gmail.com. We are out.